start.
Yes.
Good morning and welcome to all of us. Today is going to be a very interesting conversation. We've kept it very kind of semi-informal, and it's basically in the format of a fireside chat with Sunita ji. So, to just give a brief introduction of Sunita ji has been a lifelong educationist, and she's seen across the whole life cycle of the education system, whether as a teacher, whether as an administrator, whether as a coach, advisor today. And she is one of those few people I have seen over the years, somebody who's passionate about teaching, passionate about being open to the idea of doing interdisciplinary teaching, and more importantly, passionate about taking it to the grassroots level. So she is not one of those who will design some nice PPTs, frameworks, and leave it there. She is very keen, hands-on, and takes it down. So thank you, Sunita ji, for sharing your thoughts and coming down here for us. The request to all the people in the group who are attending now is ki at any given point of time, any question you have, feel free to put in the chat box, and we will check those questions at the appropriate time and ask Sunita ji. The idea is we've kept it free flowing, so you can ask questions at any given point of time, and we will build around that. So to set the context briefly, as part of the Atmanramayana Foundation, we have two broad verticals. One vertical is what we call as the innovation labs. The innovation lab is led by Shashi, wherein we design innovative ideas to take the learnings of Ramayana forward. The other is led by Rishi, which basically looks at what we call as the global outreach. So Rishi and his team are responsible for setting up chapters, taking this whatever innovation lab ideas are coming to the various sets of people across the globe. The idea is we should be operational at least in 11 countries in the next 1 year or so, wherever Ramayana is present. As part of the Innovation Lab, one of the flagship programs that we are having is called RAMA The Way Forward, and which is being led by Sunita ji. And that is a broad context. What is RAMA The Way Forward? How do we plan to do and all that? We'll hear from her. And that is there. So it will be, the idea is to do a Q&A format, so keep it interesting. So anybody wants to pitch in also is free feel to pitch in. If you have questions, please feel free to write in the chat side and I will pick it up. So welcome once again, Sunita ji. And to set the context, can you please start with what is RAMA the Way Forward? Because it sounds very interesting, but what is it all about if you can help us understand?
Namaste, Srini, and everyone who is there today morning. Rama, the way forward is, to me, it is storytelling. Storytelling in its simplest form and connecting it to Indian culture. As I have been a teacher, I look at how can we bring children up. I think it's for parents, teachers, and the school and society in general, where children grow up to be connected to their culture. When I say Indian culture, it encompasses everything. Uh, but I think the best way to make children aware of Indian culture is what literature do we have? What literary pieces are there? It's not mythology to me because to me, I look at everything and say this happened at some point of time. And are we connected with that? It could be the Puranas, it could be the Vedic culture people want to propagate. But as a teacher, I think the best way to connect with children is to let them know what was the context in India, who are the people involved, and what did they do. And we have looked at this not only as a school program running from, say, grades 1 to 12, but we are also looking at it as a program beyond, where we can connect with parents in the community. We can connect with different, I would use a target group. Maybe a parent and a child want to come together, or there is a flat apartment complex that wants to, they have a set of children and they want people who are interested in knowing this. So school, college would be the formal operational points. But beyond that, anyone who is interested to know more about Ramayana, with, use parenting as a context or use building things around that. So it could be That's what we are looking at. So people understand uh,
Hmm.
what is it about Ramayana? I mean, everybody has so many questions,
Correct.
and we would like people to appreciate what is the truth there. When I use the word truth, the honesty, the
Hmm.
emotions of Rama. Rama is not some, iconic figure. Every human being has a Rama inside him or her, and we can become, aspire to reach that level of purity, that level of consciousness. I think that's what we want to do. And the best age is to start with 6, 7 year olds because the innocence is still there, the purity is still there. And then gradually take it across to people who decided, no, this is not for me, but at least bring them together. That's Rama the way forward for us.
So nice. And I think that sounds very exciting, actually, the way you've articulated, the way you put. My follow-up question is in this whole clutter of Chota Beam and Chinchu and others, which keeps the children so occupied, Peppa Pigs of the world. Do you really see the space for something like this? In the sense, do you think people will go and get excited by the idea of Rama, and the value systems? Because the Tom and Jerry's and Peppa Pig seem to be far more exciting for children these days.
Yeah. Beautiful question, Srini. Absolutely bang on. Today's child is used to a lot of action.
Hmm.
And the action could be violent, it could be running around, it could be anything. I mean, we had this very interesting discussion that everybody wants to play Minecraft and Angry Birds, and they want to look at, the whole video games, Xbox, etc. And one of the AI experts asked me this question: do you know your children? So I had
Hmm.
only one answer for him, which I will share with you. I said, listen, they're getting enough of that. But today, the one thing which is not being touched, most of our children do not know how to manage themselves. They do not even realize that they have emotions and they should know how to speak to somebody at some point of time. If there is somebody who does not like what I put on Facebook, I become so
Correct.
depressed or Insta and I have to constantly keep following all these mediums in order to know where I stand. And if something happens here, I am saying, I take out a fight with somebody who dislike
Hmm.
me or someone who, doesn't do it. I think two things missing in today's world. One is what I would say are social skills for children.
Nice.
Most
Correct.
children would prefer to be by themselves, but that's not life. As world
True.
proceeds, as they grow up, they realize it's all about interdependence. So I'm looking at Rama the way forward, and I'm very confident because there will be, see, this everybody is giving, right, wrong. I'm no one to question that. It is something children needed. It's working beautifully.
Correct.
Uh, but then when you look at it, what do they not have? They don't have storytelling. Also, read books. There are stories which are animated. To me, where is the scope for them to visualize? Where is that visualization element that is so important? I
Hmm.
mean, when we were growing up, we read a book and we could see the entire story unfolding in front of our eyes. That's a
True.
beautiful skill which builds up the creative skills and critical thinking skills of children. And
Correct.
also, action is good. There's a lot of action in Ramayana as well. The peace you get by coloring a cartoon or coloring a piece of paper, I think that's equally important for children. So, like it or not, NEP also says the same thing. They say that bring children back to uh, being who they are. And
Great.
even adults, look at it the whole way. We are always caught up, right? This happened, that
Hmm.
happened. What do I do? You ask a teacher also to read a book, they're like, no, ma'am, tell us a story. Can you tell it to us in a story form? It's easier. Or if you get them involved in discussing something. So social emotions missing, which I think will come. Second thing which I look at, visualization, which leads to critical thinking and creative thinking. And most important, one of the life skills that we are looking at, many things, if I'm self-aware, if I
Correct.
know my strengths and weaknesses, then I'm into decision making. I'm not scared of the challenges that life throws at me. So, in the discussions we've been having, we're looking at how do we make children, think first. So it
mm,
won't
mm,
just be
mm.
given this is it, or to anyone, even an adult. You present a point of view. Are we able to agree with it, disagree with it? Are we looking at how does it apply to my own life? So there is a huge space
Correct.
available to us. And because I have seen it in the classrooms now, I have seen
Mm,
it with people where people love to read something, discuss, or you give them an activity, they love to do that. We also were like children when you made us do the mandala or, do the ikigai. I mean,
correct.
all on the floor, happily, being messy. There's value in that. And I think let's do that with everyone because let them discover themselves through this and become better human beings.
Got it. So, assuming that the children and parents are very, very keen to be part of this whole thing, uh, what is your outlook on how do you think the schools will receive it? And the follow-up question which Shashi is also asked is, does the NEP allow us to plug in as part of the overall thing so that the adaption of it by the schools and others is there? Because at the end of the day, the schools have to say yes to us, or the schools have says yes to the program. Otherwise, it will always remain outside the school premise. So, what are your thoughts on the schools and the NEP?
Let me share with you. There are people who are now jumping into Ramayana as one of their saviors, right? There are
Right.
many, many mutt schools in and around in Karnataka.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
know
Hmm.
of at least two mutts, very, very strong in terms of their outreach of schools. Every mutt has a school associated with it.
Correct.
So they have taken up Ramayana as one of their programs. There
Hmm.
are people who are writing, mini Ramayans, stories for children, and that is being included. They're looking at it as part of the curriculum itself. And it is
Nice.
not just the religious mutts that I know. I have been talking to quite a few of my students who are principals and they're in the school management. Their question, I was so happy when one of the groups said, "Can this become like a, part of our curriculum for one term? Can you give it to
Nice.
us and can we take it forward?" And someone else said, as long as, there are a lot of other people who are pushing it across as a Hinduism agenda as well. So they're saying,
Hmm.
as long as you're talking about values, you're talking about getting children the skills they need, I think we are fine. You can come and, you know, talk to us about it and get things across. And
Wow.
for the question that Shashi has asked, it is one of the most important things people are trying to do through NEP.
Hmm. Okay.
Because what they say that today's child is completely disconnected with his or her local culture.
Hmm.
Children who are living in Bangalore probably don't know the historical importance of Bangalore, or children who are living in a part of, let's say, Ranchi. They may not know what Ranchi has, how it has developed, what has gone on. So that is what they're saying. In fact, they have introduced in the 11th and 12th a part of the Indian culture through, it's plugged into the history. It's even plugged in as a separate paper if you want to pick it up.
Oh, great. Oh,
So
great.
NEP is very open. They're saying bring in as many values as you can.
Nice.
And
Nice.
one of the things they do ask us to do now is even the content they're selecting for the textbooks. I mean, you
Hmm.
won't believe it's so beautiful. There could be a math chapter on numbers 1 to 20, and
Okay.
then there would be the context which is being given. There is a fruit when seller who is selling things, and there is a child who picks up a fruit from there and walks away. I mean, it's a subtraction problem, but then there is a note for the teacher saying, focus on was the child's action right or wrong.
Oh, so sweet. Okay. Ah.
It's as simple as that. They're plugging in through different mediums.
So nice.
And so, yes, schools will be ready. We have to pitch it in the right way. I'm sure we will do it with our passion and the team
Correct.
that we have and what we are looking at. Because I think we are all pretty transparent in what we want.
Hmm.
One of the
Hmm.
things we
Hmm.
want is children to have the values of self-reliance, respect for all. We are looking at humility, looking at gratitude. We want them to understand life is beautiful in spite of challenges. So, welcome it and be open to it. So, I have a feeling it would be welcome. Number one.
So
Number two,
nice.
NEP is, we'll be a little clever in saying this is what NEP tells us to do. There are sections from the NEP we can pull out,
Correct.
and it is across. Uh,
I think that the line that you said is very touching for me. Ki life is beautiful in spite of challenges. I think that is, I see the essence and the core of even Ramayana. Because Ramayana, I always say that when people ask me if you have to tweet Ramayana, what is it? And I say dignity in the face of adversity. How
Absolutely.
dignified can one be in spite of adversities? And I think at children level, we need to tell them that life is beautiful in spite of the challenges, or probably the challenges makes life that much more beautiful. Otherwise, it would be very
Exactly.
boring every day
Yeah.
morning getting up and doing the same routine that we look forward to. So my
And
next
also,
question,
just
so,
just
yes,
just a minute,
please.
one more question. Bullying has become very, very
Oh,
widespread across
yes.
children in schools.
Hmm, 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 hmm.
Uh, Counselors are not able to deal with them. They are as young as grade 2 and grade 3.
Oh God, huh?
Yeah. Beating up somebody is just taken for granted. And that is a contribution of a number of other things there. Parents not correcting them. Uh,
Correct.
it's scary. I mean, every time I'm in a meeting, I at least hear of, in just that 45 minutes, I'm talking to teachers in schools. Everybody tells me, can you do something about this? Can you bring
Hmm.
in discipline into our children? What can we do in order to bring this down? Violence permeates everywhere.
Yes.
There is, I think, violence of the mind, violence of the body, and I would say violence of the heart.
Correct.
Not wishing well somebody for me is violence of the heart. Violence of the mind would be I just, fudge whatever it is,
Correct.
not and accepting what is not true. And violence of the body is horrible. Pinching, yelling, screaming, pulling, being sarcastic has become so common. Now, for that, I think Ramayana, the way forward is a beautiful medium.
So nice, and it is so heartwarming to hear that. So my follow-up question around that is this same. When you say that this program will cater from class 1 to class 12, the issues will vary,
Yes.
right? So when I'm till say whatever fourth grade, my issues will be very different from fourth to whatever sixth, seventh issues will be different and like that. So what are your thoughts? How is this program is going to roll out? Is it going to be a standard deck for all, or is it going to get tailored into various groups, subgroups kind of a thing? Because so one of the surprising things that I see is like the puberty levels are following lower. What used to be in
Yes.
our generation, today's generation, the exposure to social media, the exposure to all kinds of idiotic stuff when you put on a Netflix or whatever, Amazon. And the exposure is what I think is making them, some of them are curious, they want to try it out in form of bullying or whatever it is. Some of us think that is the heroship. If I don't punch somebody, then I'm not a hero and I can't be a hero. So what is your thoughts on this whole thing of such a wide audience that we'll have, say from whatever age 6 to age 18? How is
Yeah.
this program going to tailor it?
One of the thoughts which is getting, concretized and getting a definite shape, we have divided the groups. The first group probably would be one, two, three.
Hmm.
And one, two, three, because they're aligned psychologically, their developmental milestones, the way they think, the way they need to learn, because that is where the learning skill has to be developed. Then we would call it, if I had to go, that is a foundation stage as per NEP up till grade 2. But the younger ones are too young. I mean, you can't bring in nursery, LKG, UKG here unless you want the teacher to tell them stories. They won't
Uh-huh.
manage. So to me, this is the foundation stage, the first. Then the second stage would be, let's say, the 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, here they are a little aware. They have seen quite a bit now, and that's when their self, as I would say, emerges in a stronger way. As you said, the
Hmm.
puberty levels are coming down, so that is where the self awareness, the question of who am I, why am I going through, a lot of confusion comes in, and it gets heightened in the 9, 10, 11, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yes,
So we thought of these three groups first, and then it is thrown open to undergraduate and then postgraduate as we look at it.
very
Uh,
nice.
That's the way we thought. And also, you said, would it be the same or is it customized? It is definitely customized. I can't talk to a children. I mean, if you take the question like, let's say, an incident of Rama fighting Ravana, right?
Correct.
Why was it required? So there is an ethical component which I may not be able to share so much with a grade one, whereas I would throw
Yes.
it
Yes.
open to a grade seven upwards,
Correct.
saying, was he ethical? And but I would like to bring in the fact that Rama made friends, with Sugriva in order to fight, get his wife back. Now that I can present in grade one. The same
Correct.
incident, what aspect do you take? The lens which you take. For children in grade one to three, friendship could be the lens. Whereas with students in, higher grades, I would look at it and say, now look at it, why did he need to do this? I mean,
Correct.
today's world, I would bring in cooperation. I would bring in the fact that he was in uncharted territory. He knew nothing. And at the same thing, take Jatayu's incident. What do we talk about with children? Maybe
Correct.
the 4, 5, 6, 7, I would say, everybody has, I would say, an importance in life. So don't look
Correct.
at anybody the other way. There is diversity. So the way we would look at one incident tailored across would be different.
So
Ability to
nice.
do that.
Correct.
That's what we were thinking. If you ask me what values, I think we are still in the progressive phases
Correct.
where we are talking, picking things up, looking at a lot of coloring for the young ones, looking for a lot
Correct.
of storytelling for the young ones. Whereas with the older children, probably we have a lot of character assessments they could do. The ethical, the non-ethical, what is the plot, what is the climax, what if you were that person, what would you do? I mean, those kind of reflections coming in as we progress.
Great. In fact, Naveen has asked a very interesting questions around the same thing. So he says, is there a plan to use Montessori categorization to decide the curriculum? So what is going to, or what are the sources of inspiration or influence for you and your team to design the curriculum for all these sets of groups of
Uh,
uh,
Lovely question again. I would not say Montessori or Froebel or for that matter, Dewey or Aurobindo or Jiddu Krishnamurti. I mean, you have all of them. All of them have contributed in a very, very I would say significant manner, discussing the development of children and how students grow, how adults, the psychology we have. All of it is there. I mean, it's in the background. One thing is we have experienced it and we are looking, but we won't look at any one categorization. Very simple as I would visualize it, and what I've been talking to Shashi and you would be, how do children learn? I mean, that is for me. And what do they think? What are the developmental milestones? Now, it encompasses a whole lot of things. It comes from different. One, we want them to experience freedom,
mm,
very sure. Give them choices there. That is, I think, a very important thing. Second, connect it to values
correct.
so that students and children, parents, community is able to look at that component. And third, how can we develop skills in them which they need to have at that particular stage? So for me, learning is holistic. It is
Mm,
not
mm,
just in the
mm,
classroom. So learning to become my own person is important for me. Learning to be able to be ethical is important. Learning to be able to look at values and be a global citizen. We talk of big things. A very simple thing. If my maid comes to my house, do I say namaste? Or do I
correct.
say good morning? Or even if I meet the Prime Minister of India, do I take his blessings or you're not? Or I say, oh, he's the Prime Minister, let him go. To me, if a child is capable of doing both, that is the essence of how we look at it.
You're so very nice. And I think that is something we need to, inculcate at that young age. The
Yeah,
ability to respect all irrespective of the look and feel, the way or the hierarchy or all that. If we are able to identify them as another living being and
oh yeah,
respect
yes,
that, that is good enough. Because I get surprised, like you said, many times when I see these small children picking up stones and hitting cats and dogs and
yeah,
having
yeah,
great laugh about it, and I still don't understand, what is the driver, why would at that young age, instead of petting them, you would run after them throwing stones and all that?
No,
And
I
many
yes, I
times,
remember.
yeah.
Yeah. One of the small, grade two, probably she was, one of my colleagues' daughter. We were going for a walk and I was walking on the grass and there was a paved pathway as well. So she took my hand and pulled me back to the paved pathway. She said, the grass will feel pain, auntie. The stone
Oh,
also feels, but the stone is a little harder so it can withstand. Can we walk on the pavement rather than the grass? If
uh,
we can do that through our program, I tell you, that sensitivity, nothing like it. Absolutely nothing
absolutely.
like
No, no, that is, I think that's a very, what we say, nice example, the way you articulated. The follow-up question for me was that since these children, like we discussed some time back, there is so much of action and distraction in their life. Do you, or what is your thought in terms of the blueprint of framework? What typically your team is looking towards the duration of these programs? Do you think like typically a first grader, second grader will sit for so long, or even a eighth grader, 10th grader who's so preoccupied that FOMO of not checking Instagram or others every 30 minutes? How do you plan to engage them, or how do you plan to make them sit and uh, go through this whole exercise of understanding and building around it?
fantastic. That's what we've been debating for quite some time now. Uh, One of the things we have, at least from what we understand, for the students of grade 1 to 3, that's the first set, we don't want to take anything beyond 45 to 50 minutes. And even
Okay,
the
nice.
45, 50 minutes, we would like to have different things. So there could be a sensorial activity like coloring. There could be a fine motor, that's one part taken care of. Then there could be a gross motor or, an
Mhm.
activity where they're maybe playing, whatever physical activity if you want, or it could be even a mentally thinking activity. And last would be a kind of discussion or ending with what we learned. So there could be
Correct,
storytelling where, or there could be a circle time, or there could where the child is completely engaged. So it's not like in 45 minutes, every 5 minutes will change an activity, won't work. So we are
correct.
looking at start with something where they get aware, energized, what we call in our teacher training language, energizer or a hook. From the hook, give them a activity which they are completely engaged cognitively, socially, mentally, emotionally. From there, go to the end where they have to reflect. So this is a kind of pattern. So grades 1 to 3, 40, 45 minutes. Maybe we'll have to do two sessions depending on what we want to do, a 3 hour program. Then if we can go
Correct.
into the next level, we can get them to go about 2.5, 3 hours because there they're capable of sitting. So, a block period, 1.5 hour session,
Mhm.
maybe another 1.5 hour or 2 hours with a break. So a lot of things which we can do is give them time to reflect continuously. Whether
Correct.
in a group, let them express, let them talk. When we do this, children are wonderful. I was looking at maybe the crossword we have or the game which you have,
Mhm.
snake and ladder. We can play that
Correct.
with them. We can have questions there, have a quiz with them. Somewhere you can have what we call as a fishbowl. Form two circles, put one incident, one group says something, the other observes, and then
Nice.
they change circles. Or we give them a story in a higher grade where they can read. So each one becomes an expert. Take an incident where they form
Mhm.
expert groups, do jigsawing. You can do
Correct.
so many things there. And from there, so the older group, I think, 8 to 12 should be a 1 day. We should be able to manage it quite conveniently, 6 hours with breaks.
Correct.
Because there they want to say a lot. One of the major
Yes.
problems we face in class or in the context of a school, there is very less interaction happening, or if it is happening, it is the students are not given their due where they want to express, where
Correct.
they have questions to ask. And through
Correct.
the medium of Rama the Way Forward, we may be able to allow them to raise these questions,
Very nice.
from where the understanding becomes much more. And beyond that, of course, that's the plan as of now.
Nice. Very nice. No, I completely resonate with you. At least with my children, I have seen. And they used to love the whole idea of MUN, that you
Yeah,
mock United Nations.
yeah,
And as a parent, I used to curse because every time that would happen, they would say, "Papa, I have to tailor a new suit. I have to buy new shoes." And I used to always get curious. I used to ask them, "But what do you guys do there?" And when they explained to me how they are sharing their thoughts on what is happening in the world, it was very interesting that at that young age also they have a perspective which probably generally we don't listen to. And
exactly.
and I think if Rama the Way Forward is going to create that space for them to express, I think nothing like it. I think that will be a
Yeah,
big win for all of us. That young generation is able to express their thoughts and build from there. So that would be very nice. Uh, just Ravi has one interesting question, and
right.
he says, "How can the education system address the issue of teachers misgendering students based on their behavior, where some boys are mistakenly referred to as the from the opposite gender? And can we address such issues as part of the Rama the Way Forward?"
This is a very, very tricky issue. Let me be very clear on that. There are
Right,
too many options available for children today to look at who am I.
correct,
The basic question is who am I? Now, it is not about the boys. Boys being boys will be, we expect this blue and pink analogy comes to my mind. All girls will should wear pink, and for all boys, clothes, even right from the 1 month you're looking at blue, right? It starts
correct,
from there. Now, society has built that. And the expectations we have are like boys should be tough, cannot cry. Girls are supposed to be this shy, dutiful, obedient, individuals who have no thoughts of their own, who can't think. Uh, the society is doing a damage to anybody. I mean, a boy has a right to be introverted. He will blossom at a different age. I have seen
correct.
that with the children. And the girls are also pushy. Today, you have the girls who will be like the Jhansi Lakshmi Bai. So, we are doing a whole lot of it. Now, this is something we can focus on in the teacher training program, where
Totally.
gender sensitivity I would bring in very nicely, saying that
Mm,
everyone needs to have a certain character, girl or
correct.
boy. Now, who I am, now don't ask me to become this liberated woman lifting 100 kgs. I can't do it. It's all right. Ask for help from a gentleman. It's perfectly fine. So,
True.
and also know your boundaries, what you can cross and what you can't cross. Respect each other. And we are doing it
Correct.
in a way where we are telling children, don't allow bad touch, good touch. It starts like that, but somewhere we lose out. In
Correct.
schools, we are not giving that importance. One of the things I find so funny is we always ask, why are children rebelling when they enter grade 7 or 8 or 9?
Mm,
Now, if
mm,
we
mm.
study well the brain development, you will find it is a natural phase.
Correct.
They want to become adults, but their emotional development is not to the extent where they can think like an adult. They think I'm an adult, they're thinking like that. They want that space to be individuals. So
Correct.
there is a lot in cognitive development and brain neurosciences now that you can connect. And that is where when does this concept of gender come in? We are forcing it on them right now.
True.
So
True.
can we, sort of develop it as one of the things for a teacher? If the teacher can model that patience, not labeling people,
Correct.
not saying you're a boy so play with a truck and you're a girl so play with a doll, or
Mm, mm,
saying
mm.
that as a girl you have good handwriting, boys don't have good handwriting. I mean, there are some. One of my mentors has better handwriting than I do. I mean, you need to pay attention to that. You want
Correct.
to be neat, you will pay attention to that. So if these values can come and their sense of self can be strengthened, I think we should be able to look at this. But it may not be the major agenda that you look at.
Got it. Got it. And the follow-up, since we picked up this topic, there were two questions in my head, and I'll ask. And one of the questions I'm glad Ishwar has articulated so well. When the child will go out of this class, uh, there needs to be an ecosystem which supports that idea, and predominantly that means the parents also have to play some role. So, as part of the Rama the Way Forward, do you have any plans to do such refresher programs for parents on how to handle, or kind of give some kind of booklet or something after a child attends the program? That booklet is given to the parents and your child went through this program, so he or she may ask this kind of questions, and these are the possible answers you can give. So, how do you plan to integrate the parents as part of this system?
Yeah,
Otherwise, the fear
fantastic.
is they
Yeah,
will learn, and in 2 days, the parent will say, forget it, and they'll go back to their natural self.
yeah. I think one of the things would be, we were planning maybe a summer program where
Mm,
the parent as well as the child come together, but they are in their different sessions. Children
nice,
look at the Rama the Way Forward in a different way parents do. So parents are also given enough material on how to parent, number one. And second, beautifully you asked a question, is the spirit going to continue? Is that connect with Ramayana going to be a part of it? Correct. I
correct.
think we have to look at that very seriously. So as you
Mm,
said, maybe a booklet, but more than that, we could also do is have programs where children and parents come together and
nice,
learn in their own ways and come back and practice it more as a way of life. So
correct.
booklets could happen. You could have videos for parents as to, create a list of FAQs because this is
Nice,
going to appeal to everybody. There are so many questions which an epic, which a beautiful, Ramayana raises. And one
correct,
of the questions could be, was just that comes to my mind was Sita was a doormat, right? Sita did everything that was expected of her. But if you want to be a Sita, you can't in today's world or even in her world. To leave luxury and go with her husband, was she only a beautiful wife or was she an individual in her own right?
correct.
See, now today's generation wants to know this. And I
Yes,
think that we need to be very clear about what was it about her. Or we think of Ravana was a bad man? Not really. He was also the one who got the Atmalinga from Shiva. So this
correct.
this constant duel between good and bad, sacrifice being the
Yes,
we don't want to sacrifice. Why should I sacrifice something I love? Because it's mine. So parents also have to realize the way they talk to their children. Some if a child comes and says, "Get me this 10,000 wala gadget," हाँ ठीक है चलो I'll give it to you.
correct.
But then the child neither realizes the 10,000 ka value nor the child uses that gadget beautifully, takes care of it. So what message am I sending out to my child?
True, very true.
So it has to be integrated, maybe booklets, maybe, I was also thinking of a medium of where you can start a blog where people can,
Very nice.
questions that are raised. It could be, a 3-minute kind of a, uh, I don't know, you want to have an interview, you want to have that
Correct.
space is left open to you, where the questions are asked, we answer them, or we tell them that this is what we believe is one of the important things that may trouble you. So let's talk about it. So, many ways. So a summer program could be like a pilot for us. We can look like a summer camp or whatever you want to do.
Correct.
Maybe that's something we could think seriously where we hold it, how we hold it. I think the formatting of it we'll have to look at. So, but
No, I
yeah,
think
that's
I
something.
think what you and Ishwar have touched is a very most critical, I think, topic, because one of the complaints that I always have towards the society, if I may say, is when we decided to become parents, me and Shifali, probably there was nobody to tell us what does it mean or what
Yeah,
are we getting into.
yeah,
And we always go back and say, the probably the first child we experiment everything, and the second child we are probably a better parent than the first child. And we always go back, me and Shefali, and since we both were also the firstborns of our family, it is so unfair on the firstborns, ki all the experiments were done on us without having a clarity what it is. And I think if we are able to plug that piece through Rama the Way Forward, at least for young parents or first time parents, and to tell them ki what does it mean to, like, one of the constant questions that I keep discussing in the classrooms is that what do you do when the first time you realize that your child has deliberately or consciously told you a lie.
Yes, yes,
Because you know that day very clearly he or she is aware and they are telling a lie. And you are not sure whether in our childhood, it was very clear. Papa would pick up a slipper and we would know the answer. Today, that is not happening. How do you talk? How do you convince? Do I let go? Do I ignore? Do I act innocent? And, so I think that's a very important thing. And what Ishwar has said and what you are saying is absolutely right. There is something that is required for that set of group also, and the lessons from Ramayana are very clear on that. So it would
yes.
be nice to see how do we integrate, and more importantly, when the child is going back, if the parent is not there, but when child is going back from the school and says, I did this program, and here are the follow-up, whatever, like, YouTube sessions you can attend, I think that would be a great thing.
Yeah. I think we should look at, you brought a very nice thing. You said the first time a child lies, and I know my child is lying. Most of us say, oh, it's not a big deal.
Mm,
You see, but the point is, it is a big deal.
yes,
This is where you're setting the foundation. And you don't have to be cutthroat about it. You don't have to beat a child. You don't have to make them feel humiliated. Create, now that bond is there. We don't even realize the bond we have with them. You know,
correct,
the first time the child smiled, today the child, wonderful. A lot of my colleagues have become grandmothers. So they say, आज का बच्चा तो वो आंखें खोल के ऐसे देखता है हम.
correct.
एक महीने के पहले भी, within the first 3 days, that eye contact. I don't remember that happening with our children. They took a while.
Mm,
And so
mm,
that means there are changes in the way we are evolving.
correct,
So as a
correct.
parent, can I evolve? Is my question.
Nice,
There is no rule book to be a good parent, right? It is, as you said, trial and error. But all of
correct.
us have enough wisdom. I mean, within the alumni group, there must be thousands of years of wisdom based on parenting that we have. Can we all
Absolutely.
contribute and bring together? I'm not saying
Great.
an Indian parent, I'm saying a parent anywhere because, I mean, there is so much being done about this outside in the world
Mm, mm, mm.
where parenting, one of the schools I went, can you believe there is a concept called a mother's workshop?
Okay.
And it starts right from the time your child enters the classroom at
Okay.
LKG, toddler, whatever. Now, whatever the teacher is going to do for the next 15 days, the
Mm-hmm.
teacher holds a session for 1 hour every 15 days,
Wow.
where the teacher is not talking curriculum, not literacy, numeracy, math, English, social science. No. He or she is also talking about this is what your child will learn, this is what could happen. We don't want you to mess up the child's brain giving different messages.
Correct.
And the same school practices something called as what is the one good thing I did today?
Mm-hmm.
Every child has, they have created a half an hour space in the morning, afternoon, evening, wherever, where every child, the
Correct.
classroom size is 30, 40, every child has to speak about it. Now, you could have read something, you could have seen something, you could have done something.
Correct.
Basic. No, we must think of Atman Ramayana parent workshops, parent sessions of, 10
Absolutely.
minutes, 15 minutes,
Correct.
where we bring out this and tell them this is what we told them. Now, don't go back and muddy the waters by, giving your
Absolutely.
perspective.
No, no, I think, and what you're saying is absolutely right. I think because and I think they will be more than happy to be part of that journey
Yeah,
because every parent has this clear vested interest that they want their child to be a better version than them.
right,
And I think that is consistent across parents across the globe. You will see that the no parent will come back and say, okay, I want my child to be one level down than me. They'll always say
right.
one level
Very
up
true.
than me,
Yeah,
better, kinder, brighter, smarter, whatever it is. So that would be nice. I think we should tell the parents how they should not muddy the water, what we've taught them through, and just reinforce that. The other interesting question Ishwar has asked, and I think that answer is clear, but still we will like to hear and answer it. Ishwar says, mostly we hear Ramayana in many places as part of mythology, directly or indirectly calling it as a myth. Do we continue to educate the future generation as a myth, or is there a change the way we put forward to?
I think this answer is self-evident. Uh,
Yes,
Even when we attended Atman Ramayana, we didn't look at it as something that happened ages ago. It is not a myth, it is not a story. It is a life that
yes,
it happened, right? So if it
correct,
is a life that happened, the entire Ramayana brings to life context whatever went on in our ancient times. But the point would be to connect Ramayana not and give them a discourse on it, which is happening
correct,
beautifully elsewhere, but as we have done, connect it to the modern world, connect it to
absolutely,
parenting, connecting it to child development, connecting it to societal development, duties and responsibilities. If we could achieve, I mean, that's a dream again. I have freedom. Everybody has freedom. We are born free, correct? But then we
correct,
forget about our duties and responsibilities as well. Can we
correct,
combine this freedom of choice, freedom of living, freedom of thought to freedom? Let me look at it and say my duty and responsibility is also the freedom I choose, and I choose
yes,
well, and I choose to contribute. I choose
correct,
to be sensitive. I choose to be tolerant. I choose to be grateful. I choose to be decisive, responsible. Connect freedom to responsibility and tell them that duty is also part of evolution.
nice.
So that
To
would be the kind. So no myth at all.
absolutely,
Very clear.
yes, absolutely. And so to add to what Sunita ji has said, Ishwar, uh, as a foundation, we always believe it is itihas. So itihas means that is how it happened. So there is a great deal of clarity in all of us that whatever as a foundation we will do, we will always go back and say ki, it is not a myth or mythology, but this has happened in real. Like Sunita ji said, for each of the cohorts or each of the groups, we take that message differently. So even when you attended the Atman Ramayana workshop, nowhere we said you have to see him as a god and that is mandatory. No, we're saying you can see him as a superhero, you can see him as a hero. The important point for us is ki have we learned the lessons from whatever Rama did. And like Sunita ji rightly pointed out, for that young age, we want to tell them that there is a duty, responsibility, and the privileges that you get with it, and how we can each of us can be better around it. So that is the core essence of it. The other important question which I had was this whole magic can only happen if you have as passionate, as learned, as skilled teacher as you are. And
Okay.
Sunita ji cannot be everywhere in the globe at the same
Absolutely.
time doing
Absolutely.
these classes across from first grade to 12th grade and all that. So, what is the idea or what is the framework? How do we clone this Sunitaji into multiple Sunitajis? And how do we ensure that each of these Sunitaji is taking this course so passionately in their respective geographies to their respective demographies?
Beautiful question. This was a question that actually changed my career path. I was very happy being a teacher in a classroom, experimenting with my children, doing chemistry. I was asked one question. Like you said, you talked about cloning Sunita. To me, it was how do you make children learn? Again, the question. Uh, there is a philosophy, there is how to be a passionate teacher, we all learn. So, as a group, I think we're very, very clear. And we know that we can't be there. So, the teacher training element has also come into Rama the Way Forward. We are
Okay.
change agents. Parents
Yes.
become change agents in society. But I still believe very strongly that the biggest change agent this country needs, or any country in the world, to bring about a revolution would be the teacher. The teacher in the classroom, the teacher, the parent as a teacher, the grandparent as a teacher. So when we look at teacher, it's a guru passing on the
Correct.
wisdom across. Without teacher training, we won't succeed.
Hmm,
So
hmm,
bring
hmm.
these people, passionate people. There are passionate teachers. There are, people who want to do that extra bit for their kids. Let them
Nice.
all come together. Maybe we do a three-day residential program for them. First, our duty would be to make them aware Ramayana is so powerful.
Correct.
They
I
themselves
know.
don't know. right?
Agreed.
So the first thing is kind of a compressed Atman Ramayana of 3 days to maybe 1 or 1.5 days. Then the
Correct.
second focus on it would be how do you take it into the society, for classrooms, for communities. Now there has to be a different pedagogy for each group. There
Correct.
may be
Correct.
one teacher says I will do all sections is not possible. So he or she chooses one particular group that we want to train them on. So then the pedagogy for each level is different. So we make them pedagogical experts.
Nice.
And
Nice.
we bring in elements of reflection, bring in the value component. So at the end of 3 days, a person who emerges with the confidence and the passion to say, I want to now go and change. So even if I change two children, I'm fine.
Correct.
And a teacher has the power to replicate it in n number of places, which is why I
Nice.
became a teacher trainer. I trained 30 teachers, 30 into 150. I mean, one
Absolutely.
teacher will touch at least to me 300 lives
Wow.
rather than
Correct.
just. So then emerged the concept of a principal. Now the principal training came in because one principal controls at least 1,200 children. Now,
Mm,
if
mm,
that
mm.
principal can change and 10 or 20% of what she or he learns goes into the school, the organizational change happens. So, and from there comes a societal change.
Correct.
That's the same philosophy and understanding we'll bring to Rama the Way Forward. So, teacher training
Nice.
is a major component. These people become our change agents and icons, and take things forward.
Very interestingly, you touched upon one subset of that is ki, so you are saying ki I need not be a teacher today. I can yet enroll for this and do it in my own
Yes,
way in various
yes,
formats.
yes.
I think that is very interesting because that would mean that anybody who has the time and inclination can
Correct.
volunteer their hand up and say, "Okay, I would like to go through this certification program,"
Yes,
and then thereby take this idea forward. And in that process, not only make some money, but also touch lives and transform lives. Okay.
absolutely. Because to me, today the best teachers are not the ones with qualifications, but they are the ones with the right mindset, attitudes, and passion.
Correct.
So the expertise we are providing both ways. One is your content, and the second is pedagogy, and the third is we will identify the attitude and take people in, whoever wants to. And I would say some of the nicest people may come from different job backgrounds, so they enrich, the content as well as this once they get certified and they take it forward in their own spaces wherever it is.
Nice. Now, I think the most important question.
Yes,
When are we going to see this whole thing in action? Is there a, is
a
there a
time frame.
timeline or time frame for that? So is there some pilot or POC that you and your team is planning to do, or when is the rollout planning to happen, both for the schools as well as for the open program?
Okay, beautiful. I think a pilot is going to take place very shortly. Probably
Oh,
we are
nice.
in talks with 2 or 3 schools,
Hmm.
and exams are going on right now. So we are
Correct.
thinking of getting at least the one to seven, maybe
Mm.
around March, April. So you will see a rollout with the materials. We want to be first ready,
Correct.
right from the pedagogy to the training perspective to everything else. So we want to have the resource material and the people. So a pilot
Correct.
program, a couple of pilot programs, March, April planned for different age groups in a formal setting of schools. We are also wanting to experiment with the parent and the child combination as a
Correct.
summer program. We want to do that.
Nice.
And God willing, Rama willing, I would say we should roll out, you know, the program across areas which we are comfortable with, looking at the geography where we are placed, where you all are placed, where people want to take it. I'm sure
Correct.
that there are people who Rama will bring into contact who want to take it to their places. We are all here. That's a proof of that. So
No,
we will
I'm
take it forward.
absolutely, and this is so heartwarming to listen that hopefully by this Ramnavami we are up and running,
Yes.
which is a very good thing because that's a very auspicious day to also to roll it out. So that's very interesting, and that is because the idea has been always that ki touch as many lives as possible And what you've said is very nice, how the teacher is not touching those 25 students in the class, but beyond it by their conduct. And the same thing goes with others also in various forms, whoever is replicating that model across the societies. So that is very glad to do that. Shashi has also said the same thing, what we just both clarified, saying we do not see Ramayana and Mahabharata as myths, but history centric. It happened, and that's how the propagation will happen. Uh, I think we are almost at the end of the hour, but is there anything else you would like to share as part of this whole idea? Or what is that support you look forward from the alumni and others that would help this program as we decide to roll out?
Very clearly, everybody has connects, everybody has links to different communities. It could be, you may know a school that is passionate about it. You may know a set of people who want to contribute. You may know, individuals who would want to register for programs. Please reach out to them. Second, help us because we can't. We can also plan the program. We can give it a shape, but execution will also mean a lot more volunteers and helping hands.
Correct.
The more the helping hands in spreading the message across, you tell us, okay, why don't you come and do, in my place? I will get 25 people together. We will be there. I mean, I can
Nice.
only put it as simple as that. Not going to ask questions. We'll work on the, our jobs, I think, in the core group right now, whoever is working on this, get the material into it. Also, if there are
Correct.
people who want to validate the material for us, perfectly fine. You can tell us, the basic. Everyone who is here has done the Atman Ramayana. Hey, no, no, this
Correct.
incident is crazy. Don't do it. We are open to feedback. I think that's
Nice.
what we want people to help us.
Great.
I can't ask for more. We are
So
anyway part of a very, very lovely group that believes in it. So yes, people, and I think help will come.
yes,
Help will
absolutely.
come, support will come, encouragement is always there. So uh,
Absolutely.
that's all I can say. I'm very privileged to be part of it, and God has been very kind.
Oh, that I do not deny. That I always say. Ishwar has a question. I think you answered, but I'll still pick it up once. Is there also thought to get some format of this program at the university level? And
Oh yes, yes. Uh, Let us first start basic,
correct.
and then my dream would be: can we have a course at a university called Atman Ramayana? Offered to
Absolutely.
undergraduates and postgraduates. People should be able to look at it and say, yeah, this is a course I want to, this is a credit program I want to take up.
Oh,
And
so
that
sweet.
is possible because a lot of private universities would be open to it. But I have not
Uh,
tried that channel because I thought this itself is a task. Let's start from the
yes.
basics, then take it forward.
Very true. That and I think what you rightly said. Probably once we are clear with the school, then we can go to the college level.
Yeah.
And uh, Ishwar, just to also alert, Shashi did something like this for colleges, undergrad, grad program.
Yes.
It was a day's program, and we had some very good feedback from that also. Obviously, the like what Sunita ji said some time back, the message has to differ to each sets of group because at undergrad and graduation level, your questions, your outlook towards life is very different. And some of the stories that we tell and the inferences we draw are different. But yes, that is the part of the plan. As Sunita ji rightly said, we will like to go up to the toppest plan. Naveen has another interesting question. It is a good research topic for PhD, probably in history and psychology. Absolutely, Naveen ji. And so there is this one more track.
Absolutely.
So there is one more track in innovation labs led by Shashi called Research and Publications, which is led by Shrikant and Simran. And as part of that track, they are very soon going to launch a social media campaign where they are saying ki if somebody is doing a PhD around Ramayana, then we will support them in terms of scholarship and fundraising. And the idea is that they continue to do their PhD. It has to be around Ramayana. And if they're touching upon Ramayana, then we will go back and fund it to do that, saying ki there. And also, if somebody has papers to publish, we will facilitate that whole process. So that track is being led by Shrikant and Simran, and probably one of these days we will have them also share their thoughts, what they're doing. Thank you so much, Sunita ji. This has been
No, the
an
pleasure is all
absolute,
mine, Srini.
no. This has been an absolute pleasure. And more than anything, it has been very reassuring that we are looking at things. And I, in my wildest imagine, could have never thought that we could do this program for first graders, second graders, third graders. And for me, what you have articulated, the way you've articulated, and I'm very, very confident that when the toddlers walk into those rooms and start going with those values, we would do our bit in terms of creating a future generation that is kinder and more appreciative of things around that. So more power to you and your team for putting up this. Needless to say, we all there backing you up. And we look forward to the launch date soon where we'll take Rama the way forward.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Been a
Thank you.
lovely morning.
Oh, thank you so much, and have a nice time ahead. And Jai Shri Ram.
Thank you. Jai Shri Ram.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jai Shri Ram.